Hi, my name is Helia Singh and welcome to my show, Wealth Coaching with Helia Singh, the fastest way to build wealth. Benjamin Franklin said, an investment in education pays the best interest. Welcome to our show. Today we are talking about education in the context of wealth creation. And later on today we have another special guest who is going to share with us her views and tips on how education and wealth are connected and how we can develop a passion for education so then we can monetize our education. And this way, this is the best way to increase our wealth and create actually a passive income. In fact, my whole online academy was inspired by hair training. So I can't wait to share and introduce my guests later on today. I've got a lot to cover today, so that's why every now and then I need to come back to my notes. So just because I want to make sure that you will not miss anything today and get the best of your time watching this episode. Education is not about formal schooling. You know, the problem maybe with education is that some people find it boring, which is the truth, is that most of our curriculums are written from a century ago. And no wonder some people, they found it so boring, irrelevant to what they like to do. But unfortunately, that's how it is. We can't change the system overnight. But how we can now find out the way that we learn, so maybe we can find and add stuff to it, so to increase our knowledge, because at the end of the day, it is the knowledge that helps us to get to where we want. And although it is a fair argument to say that in life, we always need to learn certain subjects as a prerequisite to learn something else. For example, if you want to become a medical doctor, obviously you need to know the human biology that you were studied at high school. So there is no escape from that. So this is a common sense approach. But unfortunately, the way the education system works is because we are bombarded with so many informations in different areas. So that's why it's hardly any time for people, or especially kids, to find out exactly what is their passion. But unfortunately, we all are expected that read and study all these subjects and then pick one and try to excel in life and follow down that path. I was recently at my kids' high school helping them for the HR subject. To me, that was quite actually very heavy duty for them, that at this young age, they need to know what they want to do for their life. So, but if we prepare them better, obviously we're going to have better students or better learning people who are really love to study that. Another thing is, when it comes to education, we found out that people, why do they drop off? Why do they change their subject, even in uni? It's just because once they go to uni, they study something, they realize, no, this is not what I wanted to study. I remember because my kids, they love these CSI programs and they enjoy that. So they said, oh, no, I want to become a lawyer and detective, so that's fun. I said, okay, fine, that's what you like to do, it's okay. And then they took a legal subject at the school and they found it so boring. They said, no, thank you very much, I'm not going to do that. You see, giving them a chance to study, so that's the main part, that then we find out if we really like to pursue that area. Another thing is the education we're talking about today is more about self-education, something as an adult we choose to study. I'm not talking about the university degrees. I'm not talking about all those formal education. I'm sure we all have something that they say, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, what I would have been studied, or which area would have added to my life. So that's part of education I'm talking about today. So that's why if we get, again, familiar with the education and try to find the fun way to do things we always wanted to do, this is where the magic happens. This is where you see the money comes in and flows. Don't get me wrong, I still value my formal education, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to finish my higher education. But honestly, those education didn't help me for life. When I finished my university degree, I remember I was more confused. I didn't know what I'm going to do in future because there were so many options to do, not in a good way, more in a confusing way. And at the same time, I didn't have any plan for my life. So all we were hoping to find out is, okay, which bank or which company is going to give us an offer, so to go and work for them. So that's the problem, because the education system is just make us to become a small part of a system, to become an employee instead of somebody who can think for themselves, to find out or to create something. And that's the part that I found that all those years that I spent doing, formal education, even though they were great, but didn't prepare me at all. But the time that I realized that now I have to educate myself, there are things that I needed to do. As a highly educated, with university degree person, I didn't have even confidence. So where can we find the confidence subject in university or at school? So these are the things that is missing, the real skills for life. So that's the part that we are talking about today here. So, and this is how my education, my self-education helped me to convert or change my finance business into a wealth coaching, because that's what I love to do. So, but without educating myself in different areas, such as public speaking, such as course creation, and obviously, how to overcome the fear of being in front of camera like now. So these are this continuous time and effort to overcome all these problems finally gave me the confidence to segue my business to a wealth coaching. So this is how the education can increase our wealth. You all have heard it. Learn more to earn more. And this is completely true. I'm a true example for that, because even though that wasn't my purpose in the beginning to earn more, it's just because I wanted to find something that I love to do. Because after sitting with clients for many years and then just doing the same boring things forever, I thought, is this really my life? Am I going to do this until I'm retired? Probably I'll go crazy before that. So I had to do something. But that's why through that education, I found the segue. I found my calling. And this is how I made it a better choice for myself. And of course, the money came. Inevitably, the money will come. The more you learn, the more you earn. Because when we know more, our ability to solve a problem goes higher. And therefore, people just see that value. And what is money? Money is just the exchange of value. You solve someone's problem, and in return, you'll get money. So only by doing that, by having education, educating myself, and of course, passing it on to my clients, they saw the value in my service. And this is how my income increased. So that's why this correlation is there. We can't deny it. At the same time, you may argue with me, say that, look, I read a lot, and we see so many information every day. But the problem is this: when we see a quote from a couple of philosophers or all these new business people, we think that, okay, now I'm done. I've done the education. But I'm sorry, this is not enough. That's the problem. We are bombarded with so many information. But how much do we really know about that person, or what's the meaning behind it? You may even once a week sit and listen to Simon Sinek videos, but do you really spend time to reflect in what he says? They all are gold nuggets, whatever he says, but do you have time to reflect and apply what you learn? Because if you don't apply, if you don't reflect on what you learn, I'm sorry, what's the value in that? Imagine you've got a library full of great books in every subject you like. If you haven't read it or you haven't applied anything that you read from it, what's the use of that library? Unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's just a pretty room in your house. That's all it is. The education is only valuable when we apply it. That's why if you have heard the word or the saying to say knowledge is power, I actually, to me, it's a myth. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. So that's why this is the part, the action part we are missing. We just sit there and listen or maybe read a summary of a book and we think, wow, I've done enough. I educated myself. But education without taking action, I'm sorry, there is no result there. When we educate ourselves, remember the historical information about a business is just somebody who starts a business and, of course, buy something and sell. It's hardly about innovation. But through applying skills, knowledge, learning, the business term just evolved to entrepreneur. But now, as an entrepreneur, if you don't know what is the meaning, according to Webster Dictionary, entrepreneur is someone who manages and starts an enterprise with a considerable risk, which we all know about it. But at the same time, we have a word which is called edupreneur. Edupreneur is funny. This word was first used by an Irish political philosopher in 17th centuries. So imagine 300 years ago, this word came up. But to be honest with you, I heard this word only 5 years ago. And that was through a training that I've got through my guest. Later on, you'll hear about her. And to me, when I've heard this word, that was an aha moment. Because I thought, wow, I love business, I love finance, this is my area. I know a lot about it, I enjoy it, and I used to always sit there and educate my clients, and because I wanted to make sure they make an informed decision. But when I heard edupreneur, this was for me to say that, okay, how can I mix these two together? So that's why I moved from that way, traditional businesswoman and entrepreneur, to an edupreneur. And this is how my business came to wealth coaching. And that's the area that I love. And this to me now, even when I think about, am I ready to do this forever until retirement or even after that? For sure, yes. Probably, I don't know when is going to be my last day on earth, but the good thing about YouTube is everything's going to be up there. Probably you will see me old and wrinkly, which I'm gonna love it and I look forward to it. But I'm so happy, at least I can say right now with 100% confidence that I'm happy to do this forever. And that's something that I really want everybody to experience. Because once you get to this feeling, it's so liberating that you know what you are doing and you love what you're doing. Because to me, 4 or 5 years ago, it was a dark moment for me that I didn't know what to do. I was showing up, I was going to work, but I didn't enjoy what I was doing. And only through this edupreneurship, I changed it, I mixed it, and to me, that was just a new world altogether. And the best part is, now I'm gonna introduce you my guest. She is the edupreneur. She is the reason behind all of these education things that I'm talking about. Her name is Sarah Cordiner. Sarah came to Western Australia in 2012 from UK. And in her own words, she is the live example of rags to riches. When she came to Australia, she didn't have any friends, no money, no phone, laptop, or even bed to sleep. But soon after that, just by applying her knowledge and her passion towards this education, so she built a business which actually she's been offered to buy her business for $3 million, but she turned it back. So without further ado, I would love to invite Sarah to the studio from a beautiful Broome up there in Western Australia to be with us and share with us her tips. Hi Sarah, and welcome to our show today. How are you?
Hello, thank you. It's great to be here. I'm really glad to be calling in from beautiful Broome, right up in the northwest of Australia, where it's always lovely and sunny, although we've just had some earthquakes up here, which has been a little bit shaky. But hopefully things stay nice and still for us while we rock the room with information rather than with earthquakes right now.
No, it's great. This is an honor to have you today, Sarah. And I'm so glad you finally came back to business world. I was so much waiting for this moment. And I'm so happy.
Yes, I've been away for a while. Some of you may recall that I've been around in the circuit of helping experts turn their knowledge and hobbies into profitable online courses. But I've just taken 2 years out. A wonderful opportunity came along for me to take on the position of executive director and head of campus of a university. And that has been an incredible journey, but I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly, won't we, Helia?
Sure, that's great. I want to tell you something. So I've heard the word edupreneur only about 5 years ago, and that was through your book and your trainings, which I know this word has been there for many, many years. And when I've heard it, to me, that was a light bulb moment, because I felt, oh my gosh, I love education, and I am a businesswoman. How can I mix these two together? And through you, I found it. And that was like a utopia thing for me. That was wonderful. So that's why today we are talking about education and wealth. I just want to know your views and that how can education affect our wealth?
Sorry, I didn't hear that last bit again. Could you say that again? Sorry.
So how can education affect the wealth?
Yeah, so education, without it, the world simply would not evolve. If we weren't sharing our knowledge and our expertise, if there weren't great historians or philosophers that put their knowledge and their expertise into the pages of books, if people didn't go out to the world and help pass on the things that they'd learned about life, about survival, about making money, about anything, we would still be stuck in the dark ages. We wouldn't have evolved the way that we have. We wouldn't have internet. We wouldn't have electricity. We wouldn't have so many of the things that we get to enjoy today. And we certainly wouldn't have gone through the rapid transformation and revolutions that the world has experienced. But when we talk to entrepreneurs or people that are thinking about going out into the world of business or starting something for themselves that goes beyond more than their everyday lives, they sometimes worry that they have to have something life-changing or huge in order to have anything of value to give to the world. But actually what I really like to remind people is that every single one of us has a set of skills, we have some kind of knowledge, we have been through some kind of life experience, that if we share those with other people who either haven't learned those yet or haven't been through that experience yet or haven't survived that experience yet or who just want to pick up something new and interesting, we can really change their lives. We can help them. We can have a knock-on effect that we really underestimate sometimes. We think about what we can achieve and what impact we can have in the world. So I really encourage people all the time, whether you're going to do it for a profitable business, which I highly encourage, or whether you simply want to do it as a way of making a difference on earth, to share what you know, to share what you love, whether it's to inspire people or to quite literally teach people new things. You can change the lives of other people much easier than you might think.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much, Sarah. Now talking about your amazing Edupreneur Academy. I love it because I was part of it, and this is how I got the inspiration to start my online academy. Please tell us more about it.
So when you start looking into how much you know, what could you teach somebody else? What could you share with the world? What knowledge and skills could you put out there in a way that can earn you money? One of the definitions I give, my own definition of what is an edupreneur, it's somebody who educates their market in a profitable manner. First thing people think is, well, I haven't got anything of value to teach the world. Well, I take people through a number of exercises to find out how you actually do have a lot of things to share with the world. And what very quickly happens is people find that they have loads of stuff to teach the world. And actually the problem then becomes, what do they create an online course on first? Or what do they create a workshop on first? Or which of all those skills and pieces of knowledge do they write a book on first, or create workshops on, or deliver presentations about? And so once I've sort of helped people learn the process of creating one little course, which you can then turn into books and keynote presentations and so on, is I then encourage them to keep downloading all of that knowledge and copy the process. Once you've created an online course once, it's copy and paste the process over and over again. You can very quickly create yourself an entire academy, an entire online school full of different courses that include all of the different skills and knowledge and advice that you have inside you that you could share with the world. So because I teach people how to share their expertise and share their knowledge, I teach people how to create online courses, how to then promote and sell their online courses. I then found that people wanted to turn their courses into books, so I created another course on how to publish your own books. And it went on and on and on. People then wanted to learn how to do the next thing. And so I created the Edupreneur Academy because I found that my target audience are edupreneurs. So I created an academy for them, where I basically now have all of my online courses and all of my books that are there for people to take. And that's what I encourage other experts to do too. You know, what kind of academy or online school could you create with your industry skills, with your knowledge, and with your life experiences? And the chances are there's quite a lot of options there for you.
Yes, very true. And thank you for that. And I know that at the moment you have a special offer there. I think.
Yeah. This is actually a sort of I've over the years there has been lots of different ways that you can make money from your online courses and from your knowledge and expertise. It's a lot of ways that you can create wealth from all that information that's stuck in your head. And the advice I've given over the years has changed in terms of, well, how much money can you make from your online courses? How much can you sell online courses for? What sort of income can you expect, whether it's a full-time business or whether you're doing it as a side hustle, if you're employed? That the answer to those questions has changed because the world of consumerism changes, the competition changes. So like a few sort of 5+ years ago, online courses were still sort of fairly new in the public space, and you could charge sort of 4 figures plus per online course. Whereas over the sort of last 5 years, we've kind of gone through quite a revolution in terms of the number of just general public who are creating online courses. And that's because there's so much software out there now available that's incredibly affordable. A lot of them have free options to host your online courses. It makes it really easy, even if you don't understand technology, to upload your little courses to these free platforms or cheap or affordable platforms, and get your courses out to the world. So because those platforms have exploded in the last few years, as have the online course offerings and therefore competition out there. But this shouldn't put you off, because where I used to say to people, price your course is really, really high, what I now suggest currently is a really good model for you to make a very sustainable income from selling your knowledge as online courses, is to create a subscription model. So if you have a student paying you the same amount of money per month to access your online courses, to access your content and your information, you have all of a sudden, instead of just random unpredictable amounts of income coming in, all of a sudden you have a predictable amount of money coming in, to a degree, of course, because your students can unsubscribe. But what I'm encouraging edupreneurs to do, or people with knowledge that they have to share the world to do, is to start creating this vault, this academy of content, where you simply charge a small monthly fee for people to access that. So I've now, for instance, got well over 40 online courses in my online academy. Once upon a time, used to sell for over $1,000 each. So if they were still being sold for their original prices, you know, that's about $40,000 worth of education inside that academy. But I charge $47 for people to access all of that $40,000 worth of content. Now, some people think that's mad. They say, well, you know, has your content devalued in any way? Well, no, it hasn't. It still has the same value. It still provides people the exact same outcome. But for $47 a month, it's all of a sudden much more competitive. People look at the content and the value that's being offered, and they think, well, that's a really good deal. I'm getting extremely good value for money. Now, when you start calculating how many little sums of money create big sums of money, this is where people become convinced. If you have 100 people paying you $47 a month, all of a sudden you have $4,700 a month coming into your bank account for doing very little. You create the course at the beginning, but once you've uploaded it to these platforms where the online school allows people to find you, it allows people to pay for your course without you being involved in the transaction. Your email automation software checks in with them and monitors their progression on your behalf and sends them emails appropriate to how far and where they've progressed in the course for you. Your accounting software automatically sends them their invoices, automatically deducts the payment from them every month, automatically sends them their receipts. It's an extremely hands-off process, and quite literally is the definition of a passive income, which allows you to then either spend your time running a business, providing services, or having a job, being employed and simply earning that extra money month by month by doing very little indeed. So having an academy, having that subscription model is something that I highly encourage people to think about as their bigger picture after they've created their first online course.
That's great. Thank you very much. Especially these days, it's more than ever, we need to look at passive income rather than the traditional way of earning income. That's wonderful. Thank you. And now I want to ask you a few personal questions, if I may. And it is, were you always like this? I mean, you knew what to do, and you know, so, or you just, no, gradually you got to where you are?
So the short answer is no, I've not always known what I've wanted to do at all. And I think a lot of business owners or people who are aspiring to maybe work for themselves or be self-employed often think that they have to wait for some miraculous day where they suddenly turn from a caterpillar into a butterfly. It's like as if they think that one day they'll wake up and just know what they need to do. And it doesn't work like that. I believe that just like any good business, just like any good product or service, there is a period of ongoing evolution and iteration that we go through. And the only way we can find our true calling in life, the only way we can really find what our thing is, what our true passion is, what our niche is if we just start somewhere. And I really remember when I first started learning how to do public speaking, and there was this real pressure on, you know, what's my keynote presentation going to be? What's my thing going to be? And it's funny because I had been working as a professional educator for at least 7, 8, 9 years at that point. And it didn't occur to me that I already was doing my thing, but I just didn't see it. So I was thinking, what can I be? What's going to inspire people? What can be my special, amazing message for the world? And I just couldn't see it. And so for years, what I did is I just started sharing stuff with the world, like anything. I just started writing blogs on anything that I felt inspired to write about. If I read a book that moved me or inspired me or made me learn something in some way, I wrote a blog article about it and I shared it, or I did a live stream video about it, or I particularly went out and delivered a lot of free presentations at workshops, delivered a lot of free presentations at conferences. And what this did is it gave me an active live platform from which to play with who I am. It gave me a live, real taste to self-explore who I was and what mattered to me, and opened up clues as to what my natural talents were. And eventually what happens is I kind of feel like you go down a little bit of a pathway delivering, say, X free talk. And in the audience, some people will ask you a bunch of questions. And you'll find that you just really loved answering those. You had so much to share. You couldn't have prepared for those questions. You couldn't have known anyone would ever have asked you them. So physically being there was the only way to find the answer. And so you start detouring and going down smaller little corridors until eventually you find that niche completely naturally and completely as a byproduct of just being out there in the world. And that's exactly how it's happened for me. And I don't think any of us really, even though to the world it might look like I found my thing, I don't think any of us can really predict where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing or who we're going to be next year or in 3 years or in 5 years' time. We're always evolving. So it doesn't matter if you don't know what you want to be doing, what you want your thing to be, what you want to create an online course on, or what you want to write a book about. First of all, you certainly have enough knowledge to be able to share with the world. And secondly, the only way you're going to find out what that thing is to just start doing it.
Great advice, great advice. We all heard that there is no such a thing as an overnight success. It's all
start doing something, start doing anything, and eventually, little bits of light will just start appearing for you.
Perfect, that's great. And now another question is that obviously you mentioned in the beginning that you took a decision to stay away from business world for over a year. What lessons you learned through that time? And would you do it again?
Yes, definitely. It has been an incredible experience. I would never in my life, even sort of 2.5 years ago, if someone said to me in 6 months' time, you were going to be the youngest executive director of a university in Australia's history, and you're going to be employed, I would have laughed my head off because I just wouldn't have believed it. I have been self-employed for well over 13 years. I've had employed positions, and I'll share how in a moment. Throughout that time, but my business was extremely successful, and I had lots of business coming in, and to the rest of the world, it just looked like everything was perfect, and it was. So a lot of people were extremely surprised when I suddenly turned around to the world and said, I'm really sorry, but there's no enrollments open for my online school anymore. Everything's getting temporarily switched off because I'm taking on an employed position. People couldn't believe it. And I think there is a little bit of, how do I word it? In the entrepreneurial and business world, I think there's a lot of people who poo-poo employment. They sort of say, you've got to be all in to win. You have to drop everything. If you're not all in on your business, then you're not committed enough. And actually, having spent the last 2 years in an executive position as an employee, I actually poo-poo back that poo-pooing, because having an employed position can bring a huge number of benefits to you in so many ways. So for me, I started my business when I was employed. I was actually a training manager back in the UK. And what that enabled me to do was, I learned my field, I learned my industry, I learned my field of expertise. in my position as a training manager, I established myself some rapport and credibility in the industry. It gave me some status. It gave me the opportunity to create networks and build relationships that I may not have had access to if I'd just been a newbie in a startup in the self-employed sector. And it also importantly gave me that regular income that allowed me to be able to regularly invest in my business and build it up to a place where I wanted it to be. And in fact, for me, that enabled me in my first business in the UK to employ my first ever employee, which was my university lecturer at the time. So I had this money from my job to pay my first employee. I've since restarted my company, my education company, in 3 different countries. And each time I've done that, I have first gained a position of employment in my field. So for instance, when I first moved to Australia back in early 2012, I actually obtained employment as the WA, the Western Australian manager for the National Industry Skills Council. So for me, what that did is allowed me to learn, to basically put my training wheels on whilst getting paid. It allowed me to learn the Australian education system. It allowed me the opportunity to, again, establish networks and contacts and build relationships and credibility that I wouldn't have got as someone who just rocked up in the country by myself. It got me indoors that I wouldn't have been able to get through on my own. And it also, again, provided me with an income that allowed me to reinvest in my business and get things started. And within 18 months of arriving, I had a multi-million-dollar business and 23 employees. And I believe I did that because I was in a safe place and a secure place to build some foundations before I left. Now, having sort of taken a long time running my own business and then going into an employed position as a university director, what I found was that I had the opportunity to apply all of my expertise to a new environment. So I got a beautiful taste of being a learner again. We're in a place where I had been in mastery for many years, not really feel like I was learning anything new. I think entrepreneurs thrive when they're kind of in the danger zone, in that space of discomfort. And for me, going into a brand new environment and applying sort of what I have applied in the entrepreneurial world to a very traditional employed environment was a wonderful way for me to challenge myself, learn lots of new skills, be surrounded by tons of different professionals and experts from their own areas of expertise. And I find that a very, very positive thing to do but now I've come back to my business. I feel like I have even more to contribute back to my marketplace, even more to give back to my audience. So my advice to people, particularly those who are in the early stages of building a business or who are thinking about at some point going into a business, my advice would be, don't go all in. You don't have to quit your job to build a business. My advice would very much be to remember that building a business takes a very long time. It takes a lot of input before you get significant output, and that to reduce your risk, particularly when we are in not an unstable financial climate, but one that we can never truly predict what's going to happen tomorrow. I would encourage people to stay on the side of safety and build your business more as a side hustle. And as I've mentioned, there's so much software out there now that is cheap or free that can automate everything for you. It really is incredibly possible for you to build a very, very lucrative side hustle that can be your hobby and your passion, as well as having that employment or part-time employment that gives your family, especially, that security that you need to keep making your business even more successful.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for your insights, Sarah. I really appreciate your time. We have all your details. We're going to put it in the clip so for our viewers to know how to get in touch with you and learn more from you. Really appreciate your time. You have a wonderful trip to UK and hope to see you soon. Thanks, Sarah.
That's my pleasure. Thank you.
Now you heard it all. There is no shortcut to success, and it's all about taking actions. We all need to learn and educate ourselves, so we can have a better life and increase our income. And of course, this is how we can create a better wealth for ourselves, the wealth of knowledge and the wealth in terms of financial wealth. So now these are my tips on how education and wealth are related and how you can monetize the passion for learning and education to make a good lifestyle for yourself. Remember our financial goal setting course? It is still for free. So I really urge you to get into that one and set a goal for yourself. It could be a goal to learn a new subject or a goal to teach a subject that you're so passionate about. And in terms of how you can find out what is your passion, because there are so many subjects out there that you may think, oh, I like traveling, I like wine tasting, I like reading, so which one should I go first? This is how you can find out. And just remember, just stay with me. In case you are not sure which one is the best or how to go around it is, imagine you've got $10,000 scholarship through your work that you are allowed to spend it on any course you want to spend. And while you are getting paid, so there is no problem in terms of time and money. So then imagine the first thing comes to your mind. What course would it be? Are you planning to learn more about self-development, or you want to learn about business section? Whatever it comes to your mind, that's the area you are interested. And remember, things that we are interested, that's actually the one that we will be good at it to even teach to others. So these are so hand in hand. You can't separate one from another. And remember, if you really love what you do or study, this is how you can become successful in that area. That's the recipe of success. And now to summarize, how you can now maneuver around this fear of learning and, oh, I'm too old now, and so I don't know what to do or where to start from. Just remember, we live in an era because of the great technologies around us, and basically every information we are after is literally our fingertips. You just put it in Google, it just comes up with so many free, great information. This is how you can learn and educate yourself. And remember, cost of education is irrelevant. Just imagine the cost of ignorance, because we don't know what we don't know until we find out what we don't know and how it is affecting our life. The next one is, education is not just preparation for life. Try to think that education is part of your life. So that's why there is no end to it. Otherwise, life is got a tendency to teach us lessons in a not a very good way. So why not for you to make a purposeful life by trying to incorporate and learn and add education to your brain and to your life and apply it for yourself. And remember, everyone at any age can learn and succeed. So, but people learn in different way and also different time or different speed. So just compare yourself to yourself. I remember when I used to go to all these seminars and hear it from others that just overnight they just found that aha moment, and then they studied this, and the next day they made $1 million. Honestly, I was a bit naive. I thought, well, okay, so I can do this too. And I tried it, and it didn't happen, obviously. But at first I thought, well, there must be something wrong with me. But later on, only through educating myself, I found out my speed of learning could be different to another person. I'm not saying that others are not, what they're saying is not true. No, I respect everybody, whoever they claim this is how they learned or how they become overnight success. But for me, at least, the way it worked was continuous educating myself And studying, that was the reason that when it came to that opportunity, then I grasped it like that. Otherwise, before that, it's just by reading it, and even I tried to apply it, that didn't happen. And I'm talking about the courses and studying even in this share trading, which is a bit more technical stuff, and even the other stuff, which is more self-development and seems more easier to understand it. So that's why don't compare yourself to anyone else. Just measure your progress every day with the person in the mirror. And the next one, make learning fun. Just remember, there is no exams. You don't have to pass any exams. You just need to learn and feel good about it. Perhaps that's the problem of education system, because people are so worried about exam that takes away the fun part from learning. And also, change the environment. Remember, as a school kids, we used to be in a school and then feel that frightened, intimidated, and bringing those memories back. Now, as an adult learner, we have an option to learn and study online, which is great. You can have your laptop with you sitting at the beach, sitting at any corner of your room that you love, or anywhere you like to study. So just make it fun, change your environment. The main thing is you are in control of how much you learn and how to learn. So these are my tips for today. If you like this episode, please press the like button. Please comment. We love to hear your feedback and comments, and really appreciate your support. Just remember, it's great to be part of a community who support others to succeed. Until next time, have a great life. Have a happy, healthy, wealthy life. Thank you, and see you then. Bye for now.